Hello, welcome to Imperial Truth, your source for honest and clear reporting. Here is the news for February 1st, 2025. A U.S. District Judge, John McConnell, has temporarily halted President Donald Trump's administration from freezing federal financial assistance. This decision follows a lawsuit by 22 Democratic state attorneys general and the District of Columbia, who argued that the policy would severely affect government-funded services. Despite the White House rescinding a memo detailing the policy, the judge noted it was still in effect and issued a temporary restraining order. The administration's policy aimed to review federal grants and loans to align with Trump's priorities. However, it faced criticism for jeopardizing essential state-run services and overstepping congressional spending authority. Another judge in Washington, D.C., had also paused the policy following a separate challenge. The United States, under President Donald Trump, desires Ukraine to hold elections possibly by year's end, contingent on a ceasefire with Russia, according to Trump's special envoy for Ukraine and Russia, Keith Kellogg. The elections, both presidential and parliamentary, have been on hold due to the ongoing war initiated by Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022. Trump officials suggest that elections could follow an initial truce, allowing the winner to negotiate a long-term peace deal with Russia. The Trump administration has yet to formally propose this to Ukraine, where President Zelensky faces constraints due to martial law and the risk of Russian influence. With no clear roadmap from the U.S., concerns mean a tense political climate in Kiev. Moscow awaits the U.S. appointment of a new Russian ambassador to progress talks. A small medical jet carrying 6 people crashed in Philadelphia, resulting in the deaths of all on board, including a mother and her child. At least one other person was killed on the ground, bringing the total fatalities to 7. The cause of the crash is currently under investigation by aviation authorities. Witnesses reported seeing the aircraft struggling before it went down in a residential area. Emergency services responded promptly, but there were no survivors among the passengers. Local officials have expressed condolences to the families affected by this tragedy. Global grain merchant Archer Daniels Midland, ADM, is preparing to lay off employees as part of a cost-cutting strategy in response to low crop prices. The focus of the layoffs will be in the United States, particularly in operational areas such as plants, ports, and warehouses, though cuts will occur across all regions and departments. This decision mirrors similar actions by rival agribusiness Cargill, which began reducing its global workforce by 5% in December. ADM had previously warned that the challenging commodities cycle would persist through 2025. The company will likely address the restructuring following the release of their fourth-quarter results. India's proposed defense budget for the fiscal year 2025-26 is 6.81 trillion rupees, $78.70 billion, a 9.5% increase from the previous year. However, a significant portion of this budget, 4.7 trillion rupees, is allocated for manpower costs, including wages and pensions, with only 1.80 trillion rupees dedicated to capital outlay for modernization and procurement of new weapons. Analysts argue this capital outlay is insufficient for India's modernization efforts, particularly to counter China. Despite higher spending, slow procurement processes are hindering military build-up. India has yet to spend 125 billion rupees of the current fiscal year's defense budget due to lengthy negotiations. Experts suggest that even with increased capital outlay, modernization efforts will remain slow without efficient utilization. President Donald Trump announced hefty tariffs starting February 1, 2025, 25% on goods from Mexico and Canada, and 10% on imports from China. He allowed a potential oil carve-out from Canada at 10% and hinted at additional oil and natural gas tariffs by mid-February. Trump asserts that these actions aim to curb migrant and fentanyl flow into the U.S. Despite acknowledging possible price hikes and economic disruptions, Trump dismissed delays or bargaining opportunities for the targeted countries, emphasizing substantial trade deficits. He plans more tariffs on European goods, steel, aluminum, copper, drugs, and semiconductors. The announcement led to financial market volatility, depreciating the Canadian dollar and Mexican peso, increasing treasury bond yields, and decreasing stocks. Economists foresee resultant import cost increases on several goods from Canada and Mexico, potentially passing costs to U.S. consumers or reducing firm profits. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum vow retaliation, with China also firmly opposing the new duties, hinting at global trade disruption. In Mali, 2 former executives from mining company Randgold, now part of Barrick Gold, pivotal in the government's demand for approximately $200 million from Canadian mining giant Barrick Gold over alleged back taxes. Mamou Touré and Samba Touré, now part of the Malian negotiation team, direct these talks with Barrick. The dispute intensified after Mali's government seized 3 metric tons of gold worth $245 million and detained 4 Barrick executives on charges including money laundering and terrorism. Global financial markets experienced significant volatility following the U.S. announcement of new tariffs on imports from Canada, Mexico, and China. Major stock indices, including the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500, saw declines of over 2% in response to potential trade disruptions. Analysts express concerns that these tariffs could lead to increased costs for consumers and potential retaliatory measures from affected countries. In the currency markets, the Canadian dollar and Mexican peso depreciated against the US dollar, reflecting investor apprehension. Commodities such as oil and agricultural products also faced price fluctuations amid uncertainty over future trade flows. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. You can also follow us on our other socials, links in the description box below. Thank you again.